Next, we'll have from the Santa Fe Indian School Community-Based Education Farm Project, Mr. Tony Dorme. A number of years ago, when I was with Native Seed Search at the Indian Health Service in Sells, which is our capital, one of the doctors was heard to say at lunchtime, as he observed a tray going by for one of the patients, he said, "If I ate this every day, I would be dead of a heart attack." Again, this is an IHS doctor. And he asked, "Is this what is fed to them, our patients, every day?" And they said, "Yeah." So Native Seed Search received a call to start a project with the cooks there at the hospital to prepare traditional food, healthier food. And we knew that we needed to expose the food, have it sampled by the cooks, the nurses, and the doctors, because the last thing we wanted to have happen is that they taste this in the patient's room and say, "What is this?" Yeah. So it was a wonderful project. I'm not certain it's still going on, but for a while there, all the patients at the Indian Health Service were getting wonderful food. Mr. Dorme?
Good morning. My name is Tony Dorme. I'm from the Pueblo of Tesuque, a proud graduate of Santa Fe Indian School, class of 1993. And I'm very honored to have come back to Santa Fe Indian School to be a part of creating new programs at the Indian School that really meet the needs of our communities and not the needs of maybe the public education department and other institutions that are responsible for controlling education right now. And so at the Santa Fe Indian School, we really pride ourselves in trying to build programs and educational opportunities that embody our Pueblo core values and really acknowledge that true knowledge for us, meaningful knowledge, lies within our communities and not necessarily within a library or a book or even a database for that matter. And we've accomplished many wonderful things at the Santa Fe Indian School on numerous levels, and I would encourage all of you at some point to come visit us. Our doors are open, and we always encourage visitors, especially other Pueblo communities or people like the different programs and people that have been up here on the panel. I was here yesterday with a group of students, and I can tell you that the comments that I heard from my students yesterday about what they learned were more than anything that we could have ever done in a classroom. And I appreciate what I heard this morning about teaching culture and language and Pueblo life ways in a classroom. It just doesn't work. And so I am here to share with you a little bit about the community-based education program at the Santa Fe Indian School, which I am a part of. The community-based education program consists of the environmental studies class and the agriculture class, which I teach. So this is our home webpage, and you can access this at any time by just Googling SFIS, and you can learn a lot about our school. But within this, there's also an explanation of the community-based education program, and so I kind of want to guide you there because I also know it's right before lunch, and so I know people like me are probably getting hungry, so I want to be as succinct as I can. So our IT people are really wonderful about keeping this website current, and they're always changing things, so it looks a little different at times, but if you just navigate to the bottom, you can learn things about our academic programs, our events, student life, because it is a boarding school, and other programs that we have. But within the academics tab, you'll find an overview of the programs, and then we navigate a little further and we can get to the community-based education program. Now, if you look over on I guess it would be the left, down there you'll see the community-based education tab. So I'm just showing you this so that if I fail to cover anything, you have a resource to go back and learn a little bit more about what we do. So a little history about the community-based education program and how it was developed. Around 1995, I think Santa Fe Indian School really took a new path in creating innovative programs for Native students and began to ask themselves. And I was not a part of these early discussions, but the questions that were being asked were, if we're an Indian school, how are we doing things differently for our Native students than any public institution? Because if we're not, then we're just like the rest of the institutions that exist in the public school system. And so we're just a school for Indians at that point and not an Indian school. And so when you start to take on that philosophy, you begin to really peel away the layers of trauma and things that have occurred to indigenous people in general, but also within our pueblos, to our lands, to our immediate lands. And you start to really ask yourself, what is important? And our school has identified 10 core values that guide our programming. Things like respect, love, caring, perseverance, nature. Giving back to one's community is huge. And that's a core value that we teach to our students. And so we use these core values to guide programming, not only in the community-based education program, but in all of our academic programs, English, math, science. So the beauty of our program was that because of these discussions in 1995, along with, through the help of LANL, the community-based education program was born at the Santa Fe Indian School. Now, it really looked at education differently in that it kind of took the daily routine of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes and put students in block periods where they were able to travel to Pueblo communities on a regular basis, sometimes 2, 3 times a week, even beyond the normal school day if necessary, to engage in academic activities with people like we heard from yesterday and today, the true teachers, the true knowledge keepers around agriculture, farming, language. And so this program then began to gain quite a bit of popularity because of its success on multiple levels. Community people began to feel a part of the education and educating their students. Students started to see that what they were learning really had meaning to their lives. Students learned that a lot of the knowledge they came to the classroom with was also there in their communities. They just needed to kind of dig a little deeper to get more understanding and meaning. And so as a teacher, we're happy because we're able to do things like interdisciplinary approaches to teaching and all these good little buzzwords that sound good in academia and the things that we have to answer to our institution, because we still operate within a normal institution where we have obligations and commitments that we also have to meet, standards. And so we've really been able to carve within the institution this program that really, to me, is a decolonizing approach to education, because it puts our elders and communities first. It acknowledges the knowledge that they hold, regardless of age or status. It gives meaning to our students' education, and it validates what they know and in their communities. A few of the things that we do when we're not in the communities is that we operate a 30 by 60 state-of-the-art greenhouse similar to the one at IAIA. I don't know if any of you have been there, but ours is almost identical to that. And so students spend the winter months growing cold season crops like lettuce, chard, broccoli. And then in the springtime, we get into planting our summer crops. Now, the unique thing about what we do there is that everything we do, again, goes back to our core values as Pueblo farmers. And so it's a combination of modern technology and ancient philosophies and teachings. And I would argue that it is possible to do that. Because just because I'm using hydroponics to grow my tomatoes in a greenhouse does not mean that I'm any less traditional than any farmer in Iowa or anybody else. In fact, I feel like I'm more traditional because I'm taking what my ancestors did, taking the best of two worlds and resources that they had available and combining those resources in the best way to help our communities. And so about May, and I'm gonna make the announcement now, go ahead and write it down, about May 15th or May 20th, somewhere in there at the Santa Fe Indian School, all of the starter seedlings that my students have produced starting in February we have a little plant sale, and we practically give the plants away. It's not about income or economics for us, although that's an important part that we talk about too. It's about getting those plants back to our home communities and getting them into the hands of the farmers like Gilbert Naranjo, like Porter Swenzel, like all my other brothers in the other pueblos. That's what it's really about. Because yesterday, we had one farmer show up with some watermelons. And I don't know if anybody was here yesterday, but my students were given a couple of large watermelons. Those watermelons were started in our greenhouse a year ago. And so the cycle continues. Now my students were extracting seeds from those watermelons to keep that cycle going. So that's kind of the beauty of our program, is that things like that just develop and happen naturally, and I think that's the way that learning should be. So I could probably go on, and I want to do a quick time check. Can somebody give me a quick time check, Porter? You have a watch? Okay, it is 12:01. I guess I'll just kind of summarize and say a few final thoughts because I know people are hungry, but I want to first of all say, come visit us. It's one thing to talk about doing something. It's another thing to roll your sleeves up and come get dirty with us in the greenhouse, or come pull weeds in our orchard, or come help us beautify our new outdoor classroom. Come share your expertise or your passion as a farmer with my students, because that's what community-based education is. It's not a unit, it's not a lesson, it's a way of teaching. Thank you very much.